Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing my best to give you the day one roundup for all of the spoiler cards that have been spoiled so far in Bright Lights, specifically for day one. Talk about it from equipment all the way up from common to Majestic, show you some of the, at least the one side of the Marvels that we have. And yeah, just give you a one-stop shop to kind of get caught up on all things spoiler season. So if you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I never ever talk about like sub count, but we are 5 subs away from 2,500, which is pretty cool. So if you aren't following yet and you feel like it's worth a follow, definitely feel free to check it out. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Feel free to check out my other videos. I do mostly Flesh and Blood, but also do Alpha Clash videos from time to time. And then, yeah, if you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Patreon and the Discord down below. So I have these set up all from equipment all the way up, then commons, rares, majestics, marvels. I'll put timestamps down below to show where it is. So if you just care about one specific card type, definitely go check it out. But I try to include everything in here that was spoiled yesterday on day one. So like the stuff we got spoiled, a few days ago, like Techlo Leveler and like some of the other stuff might not be in here, but anything that was yesterday, I'm pretty sure I got everything. So first thing we're starting with is the equipment suites. We got some really cool stuff. So we obviously got spoiled the Evo Steel Soul equipment suite. This is a blue pitch that starts in your deck, obviously, and then you can put it in through various means. Most of them, I think, yeah, all of them are 4 costs to play unless you find a way to make them cheaper. The head says, if you have this base head equipped, transform it into this, then equip this. When this transforms or into an Evo with a different name, the wording on these always gets me. Your hero gets +1 intellect until end of turn. If that Evo is a hero instead, it triggers twice, which we'll talk about here in a second with the Marvel and stuff, I think is what it means. So it has Temper, block 3, which is pretty nuts, right? Unless they find a way to shred your equipment, like with Assassin and stuff, this gives you really good block value. I mean, if you get 2 of these up, that's 5 block value before they'll die. Technically 6 once they die, but you get 5 guaranteed block value, which is pretty insane. Is blue pitch. I think this plays into what I think Teklavossen's way of playing is going to be, which is very slow. I think Teklavossen's going to be the next Oldheim. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong with this, but the way his bigger equipment and bigger cards look, it just looks like he's going to want to build like an insane tanky build and then hit you with like really big attacks. So that's what I think. It's going to be interesting to see. I guess these are just one-time use effects, and then unless they trigger twice from transforming to a hero, and then they're just good for a really good block. So it'll be interesting to see how much these are worth it, because Teklavossen's ability costs something, and these cost something to play. So unless you use something like Scrap Trader, which we'll talk about here in a bit, it is pretty costly to get these out. But once you get them out, they're really, really useful. The chest does the same line of text up until the ability. When this transforms or into an Evo with a different name, gain 3 resources. If the Evo is a hero, do it twice, so you could potentially gain 6 resources. The arms allow you to put a 6 power card from your graveyard into your deck, 5th from the top. I found that so funny because I feel like I am going to shuffle my cards wrong or put it in the wrong slot. Like it's so funny. I can't wait. Not can't wait. I hope it doesn't happen, but I can't wait till a high stakes game where somebody's like really, it's the end of the game. It's really grindy, something crazy. Everybody's kind of like on their toes, and then you have to count 4 cards down, and make sure it's the 5th from the top. It's gonna be really funny. And then the Soul Tower says, when this transforms with a different name, gain 1 action point. If that Evo is a hero, instead do it twice, you gain 2 action points. So these are really cool. It's going to be interesting to see how easy they are to get out. I'm assuming they're going to be a little bit harder to get out because they're really good. They all have really good abilities, and they all block insanely well, right? I mean, if you get these out in consecutive turns, you're gaining 5 life, essentially, of value every time you put one of these out. Sorry, y'all, my throat's been off today. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how these go. I will say, before we get into the rest of the cards, these cards, I was not expecting to like this set. I wasn't expecting to not like it. Like, I thought I was going to have, like, a general interest, but this set's thematics are just on point. So, kudos LSS on that one. These are the ones I really like because I really am interested to see how these go. These are rare yellow pitch Evos, and they all have something to do with saying, so if you have the base head equipped, transform it into this, then equip this, put it under this into your head zone. So you put the base level head underneath of this into your head slot. And like, so the head says once per turn instant, destroy a card under this. Your next weapon attack gets, when this hits, draw a card. So the way I read that, because it says once per turn instant, it's not just saying like what the ability is. I'm assuming you're going to be able to do this multiple times. There's going to be ways to put things under this, because otherwise it would just say, destroy a card. Like, the fact that this is once per turn instant, in my opinion, insinuates that they're expecting you to do it more than once in the lifespan of this headpiece. So it's going to be fun to see how often you can put things under, because it can't be too much, because saying when this weapon hits, draw a card is pretty busted if you could do it a lot. But I'm assuming you're going to be able to do it a little bit, like multiple times if you find ways to put stuff under this. It is a Blade 3. It's not temper like the blue equipment was, so that is a little bit different. You only can block with this once, but it does give you a good block option if you need it. The chest piece is a once per turn instant. Destroy a card under this. Your next weapon attack this turn costs 1 less. The boots say you may attack an additional time with target weapon this turn, and the arms say your next weapon attack this turn gains +1. So I'm assuming this is going to be something along the Teklo leveler. If you're trying to do like a Teklo leveler game plan, being able to keep these in play, put stuff under them, have a fully leveled up Teklo leveler, which the fully leveled up Teklo leveler I think is a 1-for-3 go again, pretty much. So that's going to be really interesting. But yeah, as long as you have decently consistent ways to put stuff under this, I think it could be a really cool archetype. And I just love the artwork. I love this like yellow sheen look. It's really cool. Also, if you haven't noticed, if you look at the border, let's see if it's different on the Blue Evos. Yeah, so it's different. So they changed the. So normally there's a border associated with like where you're at, metrics, ARIA, whatever. They did borders based off like the type of card. So like all the borders, not all like every card, but a lot of the borders have difference, and you'll kind of see it as we go along. So the next, we're getting into the commons now. So the first one I have here is Dumpster Dive. It is a 1-for-4, 3 block at red. It comes in a cycle, and it says if an item or equipment was banished from boosting this turn, it gets +1. I think this card's going to be like a staple in a boost dash or in a boost like oriented thing. It's really good. So it's at worst, it's a 1-for-4 go again. So it for off boost if you have like all mechanologist cards, and it hits a breakpoint. And at best, it's a 1-for-5, right? It never feels good banishing an item or equipment when you use this card, but with certain heroes being able to play things from banish, it's not as bad, and it could potentially be a 1-for-5. So I think at red, this is going to be a really good, really staple card. That's just how I see it. Nothing too crazy, but really good, solid card. Next one is Fender Bender. This was actually spoiled by On the Bobble and Yuki Lee Bender, which was awesome because Yuki Lee Bender is her name, and then Fender Bender. Anyway, I thought it was really cool. It's a 1-for-4 boost, and this gets +X, where X is the number of equipment defending it. Cards like this, there's a couple cards that have this, that have a plus if equipment's defending it. One of the biggest things in Boost Dash is being able to, when you're playing against like a hyper aggressive Boost Dash, at least the old version, I'm just using Dash every time because that's the only one we've had. Using your equipment on key blocks, on blocks where you really need to survive or really need to push or whatever has been really, really important. So just this basically having puncture, for lack of a better term, saying like, you can block this with a 3-block and a 1-block battle worn, and I'm still going to hit you, right? So like late game, this could be a really good way of like preventing people from not being able to, preventing you from closing out. Just a really good card, and honestly, I think any of the 1-for-4 or 0-for-3 boosts in this set are just going to immediately go in to Boost Dash or like a Boost aggro game plan because they're all just as good, if not better. It's going to severely, if you're going to notice here, the Boost Dash is going to severely lower in cost curve, like insane amount. So pretty much her whole kit now for Boost Dash could be 1 cost or less. So that's pretty crazy. Next one is Teklonetic Force Field. This is a mechanologist block. I think it comes in a cycle, or it should. Yeah, it does. Comes in a cycle. It originally blocks at 3 for red. When this defends an attack with overpower, it gets +2. This is more thematic, right? Because in the mirror, you are going to have stuff with overpower. There's a lot of 6-power attacks that are tall in this set for overpower, with overpower in them. So I think in a draft setting, this will be really nice to have. And even in a CC saying, if we got into an insane mechanologist same mechanologist meta, you could see us being used more. But really, it's kind of more thematic than anything. Next one's Junkyard Dog. This has a new keyword called Scrap, which says, as an additional cost to play this, you may banish an item or equipment from your graveyard. When this attacks, if it scrapped a card, this gets +1. So it becomes a 3 for 7 at red, 3 for 5 at blue, and 3 for 6 at yellow if you scrap a card. And what the cool thing about this is Teklevossen wants to put Evos into his Banish because he can play Evos from Banish, right? So with Teklevossen, you can block with your Evo cards early because you know you have cards like Junkyard Dog and other scrap cards to be able to then put them in Banish and play them. So you can use them for their block value, which is really nice, especially the ones with Temper, and then be able to go put them in Banish and then go get them again. So really, really cool for that. The scrap mechanic's just cool in general. There's other really dope cards. And honestly, I love, like, there are some cool cyberpunky cards in here, but I just love the scrappy, like, I don't know, like grungy metal cards. They really appeal to me thematically. Next one is Lay Waste. This also comes in a cycle, so at red it'll be a 2 for 5 boost. This can't be defended by equipment. Again, preventing people from either not incentivizing people to use equipment or preventing people from using equipment is pretty nuts. So, like, ending this on a chain, like when your opponent's low life and maybe they have equipment up, is going to be so good at red, because a 2 for 5 saying, like, you have to, if let's say they're at 2 life with, you know, as a ninja, let's say I have Breeze Otter Boots and Breaking Scales up 2 block, and you hit me and I'm at 2 life and I have 3 cards left in hand, and you hit me a 2 for 5 here, I have to block with 2 cards to live, right? Like, I can't not live. If I don't, I can't use my equipment. So it's going to be a really cool, like, ender, like, to prevent people or punish people when they haven't used their equipment yet. I definitely think it'll be used at red. It's one of the few 2 costs I probably would use just because it's really, really good. It forces a 2-card block if they don't want to take life, or a really good defense reaction. Next one is Outpace. It's a 1 for 4 boost. Again, this can't be defended by equipment. So you have a 2 for 5 and a 1 for 4 that can't be defended by equipment at red. Again, super good. You have breakpoint attacks that have boost that you can keep going. I think boost aggro is going to be insane. We'll see how good it is in the meta. We'll see if people, like, have strategies to counteract it with fatigue and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder to handle now, because what Dash got is she now got, or any mechanologist at this point, I'm just going to keep using Dash. What Dash got is her whole cost curve now, except for, like, maybe Lay Waste and, like, one other card, is 1 or less. So that does, and on top of that, most of those 1 or lesses have a breakpoint. So it does 2 things. One, it makes those cards just harder to block because she has a lot of 1 for 4 go-agains now, or 2 for 5s. And 2, she has easier time getting max V out, because if all her cards are 1 or less, it's going to be way easier to boost 3 times than play out max V. So I think it's just going to be really nuts how much damage that hero is going to be able to push. It's going to be so funny. People thought that Ninja was going to be the go-to aggro decks once Lexi left, and that's hilarious. They will not be the go-to aggro decks. Not saying they won't be played, but I can tell you right now, as a Ninja player, you cannot race a boost Dash with Tekla Pounder with these cards. You're just not. I mean, she's gonna be smacking you every single turn. That's just my opinion. Next one is Panel Beater. This has boost. It's a 2 for 5. This gets plus X, where X is the number of equipment defending it. Again, it's 2 for 5. Go again. If you try to defend it with equipment, it gets even worse. I think this one, the other 2 costs are going to be kind of your main 2 costers if you're just trying to go for straight boost. Next one has a Scrap Compactor. It's a 0 cost for 3 with Scrap. When this attacks, if it scrapped a card, you may play your Evo this turn as though it were an instant. This is a really cool interaction. So, like, I don't know how the resources will work exactly, but right now Teklavossen's ability already says, and I'll read it. I'm not going to be able to show it, but I'll read it just so I get the wording exactly right? So Teklavossen's ability is once per turn instant, pay 3 resources. You may play your next Evo this turn as though we're an instant. When you do, draw a card. So if you have 2 Evos in let's say you have an Evo in, I know how this works, Evo in Graveyard and an Evo in Banish currently as a Teklavossen. You're able to play the Scrap Compactor, maybe when you have 2 blues left. Or 3 blues. Like if you have 3 blues in Scrap Compactor and Arsenal, because Teklavossen's going to be a heavy blue deck. You play this, you scrap that second Evo. You may play that Evo this turn as though we're an instant, right? So you play that Evo. Let's say it's the yellow Evos for 3. Pitch it, play it. Then you're able to activate Teklavossen with your second blue. play another Evo as over an instant, then pitch your last blue, play the second Evo, draw a card, get an arsenal. So over one turn, you only dealt 3 damage, but you're able to do a lot of setup because you got 2 Evos at instant speed, and then, and we're able to still get an arsenal off Tekla-Voss's draw ability. So with this card and 3 blues with 2 Evos and banish, you can activate 2 Evos. So I'm not saying it's going to be a staple by any means. It might not be just because it's a 0 for 3 with no go again, but I think it's definitely cool. The scrap mechanic allows Tekla-Vossen to really get Evos out quickly, and I think that it might be a cool thing to experiment with at least. I don't know how he's going to be built. I definitely think he's going to be blue heavy. I think he's going to be control heavy, but we'll have to see when time goes on. Next one is Scrap Harvester. I haven't called out every person that's spoiled a video because I don't want to forget someone, but this one was spoiled by Stackswell, which I thought was awesome because Stackswell's known for market watches and getting things when they're low cost and, taking advantage. And so for him to get Scrap Harvester is such a thematic, cool thing for them to give to him. I'm really glad that they did that for Stackswell. That's really awesome. So Scrap, when this attacks, if it scrapped a card, put a Steam counter on an item you control with Crank. I'm assuming this is actually going to be used. I guess thematically it's meant to be used in Max because he has a lot of Crank stuff. But we'll see. At any rate, it's a 3 for 6 that allows you to put a Steam counter on something. It's a good popper, right? This has, this might not be like a home run hitter, but I could see this being used for sure. It all depends on how things go with this, especially Max, because as the more I've looked at Max, there's definitely I think a low the ground hyperdriver, just gain resources and smack people build. But I also think there's a way of using hyperdrivers to gain action points, because since you can put hyperdrivers out and then remove a Steam counter to gain action point, if you already had an action point going into activating that with Max, then you essentially go up to 2 action points and then be able to play something like Scrap Harvester with technically with Go again, right? I don't know how that would work, but I want to experiment with it. If there's a Go Tall, multi big attack Max build with hyperdrivers giving you extra action points, it'd be really interesting to see how that works. So really excited to see that. Next one is Sprocket Rocket. It's a 0 for 3 boost. It says if an item or equipment was banished, this gets +1. So similar to the dumpster one, it's just a really good 0 for 3 that has potentially a 0 for 4. I think it's just a really good card. 0 for 3, 3 block at red. I think it's going to be a staple just because in those boost archetypes, you're going to want cards like this so you can maximize, no pun intended, your max V turns. And then we have dumpster dive. So that's all the commons. Let's go to rares really quickly. There's only one rare that I saw. It's in a cycle. Scrap Hopper. This one's really interesting at blue, and I want to show blue for a reason. So it has scrap. When this attacks, if it scrapped a card, create a Quicken token. So you could use this as an ender if you're not going to bring anything out and just create a Quicken for next turn, which is really cool. I think that the reason I brought up blue is because I just like its interaction with looking for a scrap. We saw that card right in Outsiders. Yeah, Outsiders. And I think that's really funny that this card synergizes with looking for a scrap, because then you can get rid of this card to give looking for a scrap 1 for 5 go again. It's kind of cool how I literally just for the thematic synergy, I like how they did that. At red, this is a 0 for 3. But I think you'd use this at blue just to create easy Quickens. It's a 3-block blue that helps you create a Quicken token for something else. It might not be useful. I really wanted to talk about the thematical interaction with looking for a scrap that we saw in a previous set. Then we have Majestics. We actually had a lot of Majestics. First one was Annihilator Engine. This shows the full art version. If you have 1 or more Evos equipped, this gets, when it hits a hero, destroy all cards defending this. Well, that's interesting. That's really good against people can't block with their Evos, right, with a Temper Evo, because it'll destroy the card. That's really, really interesting. So if you have 2 or more Evos, this costs 3 less to play. So it's normally a 6 for 6. It'll be a 3 for 6 if you have 2 Evos. If you have 3 Evos, it gets Overpower. And if you have 4 Evos, it gets +3. So if at a full 4 Evo count, this is a 3 for 9 with Overpower that destroys all cards defending it. I find that pretty good. We'll have to see how good it is, though. It is a Majestic, so the power level is supposed to be high. It's definitely a late game play more than anything. But overall, I think it's definitely useful. We'll have to see. It's thematically amazing. It's like a freaking crazy Gundam. But it being a base level 6 is going to be a little interesting because early game seeing this is awful, like actually awful at red. So, because you can't really use it for pitch in a deck that probably has a lot of blues. So your reds are got to be really impactful. But if you did like a one of these and pitched it away late or didn't see it, potentially having a 3 for 9 with overpower to end the game is really, really good. But we'll have to see. I don't know how useful this will be, but it's an amazing card nonetheless. This one was the biggest one. This was spoiled by Arsenal Pass at the end of the night. This card is insane. So we were at our armory last night, and we were just talking over cards as, stuff was getting spoiled. We have a couple, like, hardcore mech players, like Tim, who's a friend of the channel. You don't see him on Playtime TCG in the comments. We were talking about like what happens if someone gets rid of your base level equipment or is able to destroy a part of your equipment where you have nothing left in that slot. Like you're just kind of shit out of luck, right? Before this was spoiled, we were like, there's no way to put equipment back. So how are we going to do that, And then this literally got spoiled 20 minutes later. It was really funny. So you choose to, it's a mechanologist instant, equip a base equipment with proto in its name from your inventory, so you're able to replace equipment potentially. Evo permanents you control get +1 block this turn, which is really good for like the blue equipment. Like the blue equipment already has 3 temper, potentially would have 4 temper, which would be pretty nuts. You can put this under an Evo permanent you control. So again, like I said, with the yellow equipment, finding ways to put under to be able to activate their abilities more. This is a way to do it. And you may banish an Evo from your hand. If you do, draw a card. So you could, if you're playing Teklevossen, since you can play from banish anyway, you just go ahead and put the Evo in banish and draw a card up and be able to then play that Evo that you just banished, which is really, really funny off of Teklevossen's ability. This card is amazing. It's 0 cost. This is going to be a 3 of in every deck. Every deck that runs Evo is like, this is a 3 of, automatic, right? I don't think, I don't know why you win it. Because at worst, you put this under an Evo and have another activation, right? So, just too good. Card's insane. Love this card. So, yeah, pretty simple there. Other Majestic, 2 for 3 boost, or 2 for 5, gosh, not 2 for 3. 2 for 5 boost. When this hits a hero, you may put an item with cost 0 or 1 from any banished zone under the arena, into the arena under your control. So, if someone used a Teklo core, or if someone used, not a Teklo core, but what is the 0 for 1s that are really good? But while I'm looking it up, it's just really funny how we're going to be able to, at the beginning, remove Steam Counter Technical Core. You destroy it, destroy it. Okay, so it destroys. But if someone had banished away an item that's 0 for 1 off a boost plan, not Technical Core, sorry for the misspoke, you're going to be able to steal someone else's item, which is really funny. In the mirror, like, this will be really good. At worst, this is a 2 for 5 boost, which is still really good. It's above rate on that. And in limited, this is going to be really funny, right? When people are playing draft at like pre-release and stuff, being able to steal someone's item is just going to be really funny. It's not the end of the world, but I do think it's really cool just being able to like take what someone else is using. Excuse me. Instead, even if maybe you're playing a control version of Dash and like they did accidentally boost away like a Teklo core, you could then go grab it, right? Not after they've used Teklo core, but if they banished it away by accident off boost, you could use it, which is really funny. But yeah, really cool card. Next one is Scrap Trader. I don't think people are like looking down on this card at all, but I did see a couple comments of people saying like they don't think this card's good. I think this card is absolutely nuts. Gain 2 resources for each card that you scrap. So you play this for free, and let's say you have 2 Evos in your grave. You then can go get them, gain 4 resources because you got both of them, right? And it's like you may, so you don't have to get 2, but you should. And if you get 2, you gain 4 resources, and then you just banish 2 Evos. And what you're allowed to do, because you're banished item or equipment, Evos are equipment. So what you're able to do is with those 4 floating resources, you're able to activate Teklevossen's ability for free, use the remaining resource plus, let's say, another blue, because let's say the blue Evos are 4, to play out the Evo, draw a card, and then potentially play something else, right? So, like, there's just really, really cool things at instant. Well, you have to play something else at instant speed, but there's really, really cool stuff that you can do with this card. It just allows you to basically play an Evo off a blue. Off a single blue, because if you scrap 2, gain 4 resources, activate Teklo's ability for 3 resources, have 1 floating. You basically pitch another blue. You can play that Evo at instant off 1 blue, and you still draw a card. So really, really cool. I like this card. I don't know if it's a 3 of, obviously, but I do think this card's worth like a 1 or a 2 of, just to be able to basically play Evo off 1 blue and draw a card. I think that's a really good thing. This one's Majestic. This one's very interesting. Steel Street Enforcement. It's normally a 1 block at blue. And it says, while this is defended, it's an Evo block, the new block mechanic. It gets plus X, where X is the number of Evos you have equipped. I'm assuming you only can have 4 Evos equipped that I'm aware of right now. So this is potentially basically a 0 for 5 is the way you look at it, right, at blue. So it could be really good. Maybe you run these at a 1 of or a 2 of, maybe a 1 of. The 1 block feels really bad, though, if you don't have Evos out. I guess at worst, could be potentially a 3 block blue. So you might end up running these maybe at a 1 or a 2 of, just late game. You're able to, able to block for 4 or 5 would be really nice. But overall, it's going to be interesting to see how consistent. I don't know how consistent you're going to be able to get Evos out yet, like how quickly, right? So until we figure that out, like if you can get Evos out decently quick, this will be a really good card. If it takes a while to get Evos out, you have to really work for it. This might not be as good of a card, but time will tell. So that's the Majestics, and then we had 1 Marvel, at least one side. Technically, the Equipment Suite was a Marvel. We haven't seen the other side of this card yet, but Singularity. It's a legendary Teklevossen specialization that says transform your hero, your weapon, and 4 Evos you have equipped into, and then it doesn't show it, right? It's going to be on the other side. I did hear Brian Gottlieb, I think I heard him correctly, say in the Twitter Spaces that this card isn't quite, or he said somewhere that this card isn't quite as like impactful or needed as the demi hero for like Levia. It's just a really good card to have. I'm hoping that's the case, because that'd be really cool, is like if the hero isn't really built off like trying to do just this. Because so far in Bright Lights, what I've really enjoyed about it is it seems like there's so many archetypes you can play, and I'm super excited to see like the different ways people take things. Like there are some obvious like aggro archetypes in this set, but I also think there's some really cool mid-range stuff that's going to be really fun to watch, and I'm really excited to see that. So, yeah, that was all of them. That was all the ones I caught, at least. If I missed one that was on day 1, please let me know. But I'm super excited to try out. I'm really excited to try out Teklevossen. He's my number 1. I want to try out Teklevossen with stuff like the yellow Evos and be able to do like a Teklo leveler build where I'm just like, smacking people. That'd be really cool. But overall, it's going to be really fun to see, how these things evolve, no pun intended, and see, where people take this set. And this set's going to really shake up ProQuest season. I think you're going to have a lot of people trying new things and doing new things. I'm actually excited to try one of these maybe for Dallas, the Calling. We'll have to see how good or different I get with one of them. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts were on day 1. Day 2 is going on right now. Stuff's been spoiled as I'm sitting here, so I'll be able to make a video tomorrow morning for you all as well. Give you all caught up on day 2, and we'll keep moving. But yeah, if you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not me, it's totally fine. Go into our Fleshbug Creator. I'll put a link down in the description below to all the people that are spoiling the article, so y'all can go follow them. Please go follow their channels, support them, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much. Have a great day.